Min, full name Tran Min Dui, 17 years old, was the kind of student no one really noticed in class. Not outstanding, not failing, not troublesome, not brilliant. His hair always hung over his forehead. His eyes always seemed to be lost in thoughts from some distant place. He was in class 11A4 at a regular public high school in a small town. His family consisted of just two people, him and his mother. His father passed away when Min was little. His mom worked as an accountant at the district finance office, often coming home late, so Min got used to eating dinner alone, doing homework alone, and walking to school alone. He wasn't close to anyone, but he wasn't isolated either. It's just that he often forgot things and remembered things no one else did. That afternoon, it was drizzling, light, but persistent, casting a haze over the schoolyard. Min didn't go home like the others. He stood silently in the corridor on the second floor, eyes fixed on his classroom, 11A4. He just stood there, quietly, gripping the strap of his bag tightly, eyes glued to the last desk in the row by the window on the left. That desk. It looked like someone was sitting there. Ms. Han, the homeroom teacher, happened to walk by and noticed Min staring into the classroom. She paused and asked gently, "Min, you haven't gone home yet? Waiting for someone?" Min didn't look at her. He kept staring into the classroom, his voice low. "Teacher, how many students are in our class?" Ms. Han was a bit surprised by the question but replied, "Except for Tuan, who transferred earlier this year. There are 32. Min frowned slightly. "Then, that last desk on the left. Where I sit, how many people sit there?" She smiled softly. "Just you. No one else." Min turned to look at her. His lips moved slightly. His eyes filled with something hard to explain. "Don't you remember, there used to be a girl who sat next to me?" Ms. Han was silent for a moment, then spoke gently. "Min, are you feeling a bit stressed lately? If you're tired, you can take a few days off." Min didn't answer. He opened the classroom door and walked in, straight to the last desk on the left, his desk. The desk surface was chipped. The wood faded with time. Min reached toward the inner corner, the spot where he usually kept his pencil case. Suddenly, his finger brushed against a raised scratch. A line of text carved lightly but clearly with a compass tip. "I like writing with purple ink. Don't laugh." Min froze. A chill ran down his spine. He clearly remembered, there used to be a girl who sat next to him here. And he had once laughed at her slanted handwriting in purple ink. That night, Min opened his phone and scrolled through old photos from the start of the school year. There was a selfie in class. He stood at the far edge of the last desk by the window. Next to him was an empty space. No one was there, but Min clearly remembered. He never took selfies alone. Next to him was always someone who smiled quietly, who wrote beautifully, and loved using purple ink. He remembered her name, Hai Min. The next morning, Min arrived at school early. He sneaked into the equipment room and searched for the grade book of class 11A4. There were only 32 names. No one named Hai Min. But when he opened the drawer under his desk, inside was a literature test paper. The topic, your thoughts on a close friend. The writer, Nguyen Hai Min, class 11A4. Min clenched the paper in his hand. His eyes locked onto the name line, heart pounding faster and faster. He wasn't crazy, and Min had existed. Min sat in class, still holding Hai Min's test paper, eyes glued to the printed name and class. Nguyen Hai Min, 11A4. It was a midterm test. The handwriting was slightly slanted, written in purple ink, with underlines made by a red ruler. At the end of the essay, a handwritten note tilted sideways. "I like him because he remembered my birthday better than I did." Min read that line over and over, almost 10 times. Min remembered other people's birthdays better than she remembered her own. Min blinked, then opened his phone. His birthday was April 9th. At that moment, the school bell rang. Ms. Han entered the classroom, holding the attendance book. The classmates cheerfully rushed to their seats. Min quietly tucked the test paper into his bag but didn't take his eyes off the desk beside him. The empty chair. No one looked in that direction. Ms. Han began calling roll. Name by name. Min? He softly answered. Present. Van? Here. Bao? Here. Then she paused. Her eyes swept briefly toward the back row, as if she had forgotten something. Min looked up. Did you just skip over Min's name? The entire class turned to look at him. Ms. Han hesitated slightly, then forced a smile. No, there's no one named Min. Dear. Min frowned. Then, who wrote the literature test paper left in my desk? The name is Nguyen Hai Min. Feminine handwriting, purple ink. The writing is very clear. The whole class began to murmur. Ms. Han furrowed her brow and walked over to Min. Let me see it. Min pulled out the test paper. Ms. Han looked at it for a long time. Then, her face went pale. This is last year's test. Specifically, the midterm exam for class 11A4 from the previous school year. The whole class gasped. Min blinked. Last year? But this paper was in my desk. She folded the paper and said quietly. She no longer studies here. Min was stunned. You know her? Ms. Han didn't respond. She just placed the test into the gradebook and gently nodded, as if to end the conversation there. During recess, Min went to the back of the school. He sat alone under the flamboyant tree and opened Min's test again. In the essay, Min mentioned a classmate who sat next to her. Very quiet, but always shared his correction tape. Min remembered. He used to have a correction tape with a broken cap. Min always gave him the cap from hers to use. Without thinking, Min reached into his bag. That correction tape was still there. And its cap was a pale purple. Not the kind he usually bought. He pulled out his phone and opened the photo album again. There was a picture of his literature notebook from the start of the year. On the first page, in the top right corner, there was a small, unfamiliar handwriting. Finished using your purple pen. Thanks. Min gripped his phone tightly. There's no way this was all imagined. That night, as Min was studying, he opened his literature notebook. A small piece of paper fell out from between the pages. Old paper, slightly yellowed, like it had been tucked away for a long time. On it was a short poem. I sat by the window. No one called my name. You copied to the left. And I drifted away. Below, no signature. But the handwriting was Min's. Purple ink, slanted, and familiar. Min looked toward the window. It was dark. The wind blew softly. The curtain fluttered gently. He felt someone was sitting there. Still on the left, like every day. The next day, Min asked to go to the school library. He met Ms. Thao, the oldest librarian, and asked about the student lists from previous years. She opened the record book and searched through the school years. What's the name? Nguyen Hai Min. She was in class 11A4. About a year ago. Ms. Thao nodded and flipped through slowly. After a moment, she stopped, her finger resting on a name. Here it is. Min, class 11A4. Student ID clearly listed. But what? She looked up. Next to her name, written in small red letters. Deceased, traffic accident, April. Min froze. Which date exactly? Ms. Thao read softly. The 9th. Min couldn't speak. That was his birthday. That night, in his dream, Min saw himself sitting in class. Beside him was an empty desk. Then someone walked in. Long hair, school uniform, holding a purple ink pen. She didn't look at him. Just quietly sat down. The wind blew in. Flipping open Min's notebook, a line of words appeared. It's your birthday, but I couldn't come. I'm sorry. He turned to look, but the seat was empty. The next morning, Min arrived at school very early. He didn't go to class but crossed the hallway behind the administration building, turning into the small room where old records were kept, the place where Ms. Thao had checked the student books. The door was locked. Min went around to the window and climbed in. The room was damp, smelled of old paper, and dust covered the shelves. He opened the drawer labeled 11A4, previous school year, and sifted through the files in alphabetical order. And he found it. Nguyen Hai Min, student ID, 024. The file had everything: photo ID, address, report card, enrollment date, and date of death. But strangely, the notes section had been covered with white correction tape. Min tilted the file under the light. Under the thin white layer, he could make out a blurred, crossed-out sentence. Name removed by request. Must not be mentioned again. Min's entire body went cold. He stepped back, clutching Min's file, eyes fixed on that sentence for a long time. Removed from the records? Not to be mentioned again? Who has the right to do that? After the second period, Min asked Fu, his closest friend in class, to come to the canteen. Pretending to joke, "Hey, do you remember if we had anyone named Hai Min in our class last year?" Fu was munching on bread, looked up, and frowned. "Hai? Who? Min? Never heard that name." Min insisted. "A girl, long hair, used purple ink, sat next to me at the last desk. Soft-spoken, often brought corn milk to class." Fu looked at Min, furrowed his brows, then smirked. "Are you sleepwalking or something? Man, the seat next to you is empty. I even told you it's lucky, no need to share your snacks." "What nonsense are you talking about?" Min said nothing more. He turned away, eyes starting to well up. By noon, he made an excuse to go to the bathroom, but actually went to the teacher's office to look for Min's test paper. When he opened the gradebook, it was gone. There was no paper with the name Nguyen Hai Min. No handwriting in purple ink. Min stood frozen in front of Ms. Han's desk. He muttered. "She placed it here. She received it with her own hands." A voice came from behind. "Min, what are you looking for?" Startled, he turned. It was Ms. Han. His hands trembled as he asked, "The test paper from the other day. Do you still have it?" Ms. Han looked at him, a bit puzzled. "What are you talking about? When did you turn in a test to me?" "It's not mine. It was from Hai Min. Purple ink. I gave it to you in class." Ms. Han stiffened, then smiled, but it was unnatural. "Min, I think you should take a few days off. You've been a little stressed lately." Min stepped back. "You really don't remember? That day I even asked you about her. Right when you were taking attendance." Ms. Han was silent. Then she turned and walked away, leaving Min standing there, hands trembling, eyes confused, heart squeezed tight like it was being crushed. That night, Min didn't study. He just sat flipping through his old notebooks. Literature, math, biology, page by page. Page 13 in the literature notebook, where a blot of purple ink stained the margin, had a small handwritten line. "I'm sitting here, okay? Don't let anyone take this spot." Page 22 in the math notebook, where a number had been underlined in red pen. "If I disappear, what's 3 minus 1? The last page of the biology notebook. "If everyone forgets, will you still remember?" Min couldn't sit still anymore. He stood up, grabbed his old bicycle, and pedaled toward the road that led to the cemetery behind the school, where, according to the records, Min was buried. The late-night moon was dim, clouds drifting like mist. He parked his bike under a cotton tree, flashlight in hand, tracing each row of cold stone headstones. His eyes stopped at one deeply carved inscription. Nguyen Hai Min, 2006 to 2023. Don't rewrite memory. Someone has already memorized it. Min lowered the flashlight, his hands trembling. He collapsed beside the grave, head resting on the damp grass, whispering, "Min, I remember you. I've never forgotten." A breeze blew through. Leaves fell onto his shirt, and a thin piece of paper was swept to his feet by the wind. He picked it up. White paper. Nothing on it. But when he held it up to the moonlight, purple ink appeared, as if written in something that only showed under cold light. "I don't need the whole class to remember. I just need you to." That night, Min didn't go home. He sat until nearly dawn beside Min's grave, leaning against the cold stone marker, eyes wide open staring at the cloud-filled sky, not even blinking. Inside, he no longer felt panic, only a strange emptiness, like he had just woken up from a long sleep and finally saw clearly what he had dropped long ago. A friend, a memory, a promise never fully kept. The next day, he walked into class with a pale face and bloodshot eyes. No one asked. Ms. Han didn't call on him to recite the lesson like usual. As if the entire class avoided Min's gaze, or avoided something behind him. Min still sat at the last desk. On the left, by the window. And the seat next to him, Min's seat, was still empty. But he felt it wasn't truly empty. During literature class, while Ms. Han was analyzing Pushkin's poem, I Loved You, Min looked down at his notebook. In an unconscious moment, he opened it, and the purple ink handwriting was there. Min's handwriting. The familiar strokes. Slightly leaning left. Neat. I don't remember this poem anymore. But I remember, you used to secretly write my name on the desk edge. Min swallowed hard.